Former maid found sleeping at airport, billionaire's incredible, life-changing gesture revealed. Maria blinked awake on the cold metal bench, the bustling airport around her a sharp contrast to her dreams. Travelers hurried by, each with a destination filled with hope. Meanwhile, her heart was heavy, burdened by the weight of bills piling up at home. The disappointment in Sophia's eyes after yet another rejection echoed in her mind. A once joy-filled life quickly shifted to one filled with uncertainty. As she brushed a loose strand of hair from her face, the fluorescent lights above cast a stark glare on her worn-out shoes. They had seen better days, much like her spirit. Just yesterday, she'd imagined a different life, one where she could take Sophia to the park, buy her favorite snacks, and sit down for dinner without worrying about the next paycheck. The echoes of Maria's laughter seemed foreign now. Just then, James Grayson strolled through the terminal, his polished shoes tapping lightly against the floor. A billionaire, yet he remembered the struggle of his youth, his mother, a single parent hustling to make ends meet. The sight of Maria stirred something within him. Curiosity pulled him closer as he spotted her sleeping on the bench, her brow creased with worry even in her slumber. His heart ached as he thought of his mother's sacrifices. It wasn't fair, the way the world worked. He approached cautiously, and as he hovered over Maria, he felt a connection, a shared understanding that transcended their differing worlds. That spark ignited a decision in him. He could help her, but as Maria woke up, their eyes met, and she flinched at the sudden attention. "I'm sorry," she mumbled, shame washing over her like a wave. From that moment on, poignancy filled the air. In his well-tailored suit, James extended an offer that would change everything, a job that would harness her unique perspective as a working-class mother. Maria's heart raced. Hope flickered within her. Maybe this was the moment she had been praying for. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. However, as Maria began to share her story, whispers of skepticism followed them. The neighborhood murmured about James's intentions, questioning whether he truly understood her fight. Once a maid, always a maid, they sneered, and it pierced deeper than any blade. Inside, Maria felt a swell of doubt. Why had she trusted someone so different from her? The community's voices wrapped around her like chains, making her retreat from the very opportunity that had brought her hope. Yet, through this turmoil, Maria felt a flicker within her, an urge to rise and inspire others like herself. To reclaim her strength. She began to speak to the women in her community, sharing stories of resilience and tenacity. At the same time, James wrestled with the reality of Maria's journey. Deep in thought, he pondered. Was his help a genuine offer, or merely an attempt to bridge a gap he couldn't truly cross? As they prepared to confront their misconceptions and the world around them, Maria stood at the crossroads, a choice before her that could change everything. Would she allow her past to define her, or would she fight for a future for both herself and Sophia? With the tension rising, an unexpected meeting loomed on the horizon. Would this be the moment they could move forward, or the time their differences would drive them apart? Maria stood in front of the community center, a makeshift hub where she had begun to share her story. The walls were draped with colorful posters highlighting the upcoming workshops, one focused on job skills, another on financial literacy. Yet here she was, trembling slightly, as she waited for the women to arrive. She wanted to be their voice, to lift them up, but doubts nagged at her. What if they saw her as just a former maid? As the sun settled low on the horizon, casting golden rays through the dusty windows, a handful of mothers began trickling in. Their expressions mirrored her own uncertainty, but a few nodded with encouragement as they recognized Maria. "We trust you," one had said quietly, and that small spark ignited a flame within her. Taking a deep breath, Maria stepped to the front and put her hands on the small desk, grounding herself. "Thank you for coming," she began, her voice steadying. "I know life can feel overwhelming, like we're constantly running in circles." She saw them lean in, their eyes wide with anticipation. "I've been there. I know the weight of fear, but I also know the power of resilience." As she shared her journey, the stories flowed freely, the struggles, the sacrifices, her dreams for Sophia. The more she spoke, the more she saw hope blooming on their faces. Meanwhile, James was in his high-rise office, a stark contrast to the warmth of the community center. He couldn't shake off the feeling of responsibility. With every doubt Maria faced, he felt it too, gnawing at him, questioning his intentions. Was his wealth the bridge they needed, or was it a crutch that would only uphold the very stereotypes she fought against? Suddenly, he resolved to meet with Maria again. They needed to confront not just the skeptics but also their own fears. He needed her to understand he wasn't just a wealthy man throwing coins at a problem. He wanted to learn to listen. As he grabbed his coat and headed for the elevator, anticipation twisted in his gut. There was something unspoken between them, something that needed clarity. Hours later, Maria wrapped up her session, her energy heightened as the women began to share their aspirations. Just as she felt a wave of empowerment, a familiar figure appeared at the entrance. James stood there, looking slightly out of place but determined, his expression earnest. "Maria," he called, his voice slightly raised above the chatter. "Can we talk?" The room went quiet. All eyes turned towards the unexpected tension in the air. Maria's heart raced. What did he want now? She took a step forward, not entirely sure whether to flee or to embrace this moment. "Sure," she replied, but felt every heartbeat in her throat as she walked toward him, leaving behind the warmth of the room and stepping into the uncertainty of their connection. He noticed the flicker of doubt in her eyes. "I need you to know something," he began, and in that moment, both of them understood that they were about to either solidify their partnership or face the truth that their worlds might never fully collide. As Maria searched his gaze for sincerity, an overwhelming question hung in the air: could their differences really dissolve into a shared future? Maria felt her heart pound as she stepped closer to James, every shuffling footfall and whisper from the room fading into the background. The mixture of anticipation and fear churned in her stomach, and she found herself searching his expression, hoping for honesty, yearning for connection. "Can we step outside?" he asked, his voice low, pulling her back to the moment. She nodded, and together they moved toward the exit, leaving behind the murmur of curious onlookers. The chilly evening air hit her like a slap, a stark contrast to the warmth of the center. It filled her lungs and cleared her head, if only for a moment. The street lamps were casting a soft glow, and she felt exposed, each breath a reminder of the weight of the conversation ahead. "Maria," he started, his eyes earnest, but she interrupted him. She had too many thoughts spinning, a whirlwind of emotions. "Why did you come here?" she blurted out. "What do you really want from me? From all of this?" Her voice trembled, betraying her attempt at strength. James took a moment, the tension hanging heavy between them. "I want to help," he finally said, his lips tight. "But I realize that help isn't just about money or resources. It's about understanding, and listening." Listening. The word lingered in the air, and Maria's defenses faltered slightly. "You don't understand my life, James. You see me as a project, a charity case. Or worse, a story to tell." "No. That's not how I see you," he insisted, his brow furrowing. "I see strength. I see potential. But I know I can't just offer solutions without knowing your world, your struggles, and your dreams." The sincerity in his eyes made her pause. Was he genuine? Could he really grasp the daily hurdles she faced? "Okay," she breathed, her voice steadier now. "Let us say, for a moment, that I believe you. What would this look like? Are you just going to throw money around? Because that's not what I need." Not at all, he replied, and there was a steeliness behind his words. I want to create opportunities. Real opportunities. But I can't do it alone. I need your voice, your leadership. What if we partnered? Together, we could change things. The idea hung between them, tantalizing yet terrifying. She imagined them working side by side, crafting workshops, building businesses, creating an entire network of support for women like her. The vision sparked something deep within her, a flicker of hope, ignited by the chance to channel this opportunity into something bigger than herself, but then doubt crashed in. And what if it fails? She asked, her voice a whisper. What if you get bored, or it doesn't work out? I can't risk my community's trust just to chase an idea. He moved closer, a sense of urgency in his eyes. Then let us make a plan. Let us take small steps together. We can build a foundation, and if it doesn't work, we'll adapt. But we need to try, Maria. Just failing is not an option when so many lives could change. A surge of fear and excitement bubbled inside her. Could they really be allies in this? Could she let herself trust him? As she searched his face for answers, the sky darkened overhead, stars beginning to twinkle into view, and in that moment, Maria felt the weight of possibility envelop her. But before she could respond, a startling thought crossed her mind. What would people say when they saw a woman like her working with a man like him? Would they think she was selling herself out? Her heart sank as she contemplated the scrutiny and judgment that might come. Yet then she felt it, if she didn't take this chance, nothing would change for anyone. Let me think about it, she finally said, her voice laced with both determination and apprehension. As she turned to leave, she pondered the enormity of what lay ahead. James watched her walk away, a smile creeping onto his face, but uncertainty lingered in the air. Would she truly consider his offer, or was this just another fleeting hope? In that moment, the stakes had never felt higher. The possibilities loomed large, but so did the risks. As Maria walked back inside, the warmth of the community center wrapped around her again, but her mind was troubled by questions. What did empowerment really mean? And could she truly navigate the path ahead without losing herself along the way? Inside the community center, the laughter and chatter of familiar faces swirled around Maria, but she felt like a ghost, floating through the crowd. The warmth that once enveloped her now felt heavy, smothering her thoughts. She dodged friends, not ready to face the questions that would surely follow, her heart a storm of confusion. As she leaned against the cool, brick wall, she replayed her conversation with James over and over in her mind. What would it mean to partner with him? His vision was intoxicating, a chance to bring about change, to empower others. But there was a nagging fear that curled around her thoughts, whispering doubts that clawed at her heart. What if he was right? What if this was the opportunity she had been waiting for, and she let it slip away? The laughter around her faded to a dull murmur, and she let out a shaky breath. These weren't just her dreams to chase anymore, they could be the dreams of so many women who'd been silenced. Women who needed a voice. But then the specter of judgment loomed once more. What if they saw her as a traitor? What if they turned away because she dared to ally herself with someone from outside their world? Maria. There you are. A voice jolted her back to reality. It was Rosa, her best friend since childhood, eyes bright with excitement. You disappeared. What is going on? Are you okay? Maria forced a smile. Just needed a moment to think. Rosa tilted her head, concern etched on her face. You're not in trouble, are you? I thought you were going to talk to James. I did, she admitted, the weight of the moment returning. We had a conversation. Rosa's eyes sparkled with interest. And? What did he say? Maria hesitated, weighing her words. He wants to help. To partner with me, to change things for women like us. She caught Rosa's gaze, searching for understanding. That sounds amazing. Rosa exclaimed. You could really make a difference. Why do you look so torn? With a flick of desperation, Maria poured out her fears, her insecurities spilling like a flood. What if it fails? What if everyone thinks I'm just using him or that I'm abandoning my roots? What if he gets tired of this and leaves me with nothing? Rosa reached for her hand, squeezing it tight. But what if it works? What if you change lives? Maria, you are a force, and you deserve this chance. You deserve to dream big. But it's more than that. Maria's voice cracked, frustration bubbling to the surface. It's not just about me. This community has always lifted me up. I can't let them down. Rosa's expression softened. What if they see you as an inspiration? What if they realize that they can rise, too? You have the power to change the narrative. You can't let fear hold you back. Maria watched her friend, yearning for that kind of courage. She needed to face her own doubts, but fear clawed at her insides. The image of herself walking hand in hand with James, challenging the world, flickered in her mind like a distant star. Was she ready to grab it? Was she brave enough to stand tall against the judgments of others? As if sensing her inner turmoil, Rosa nudged her gently. You've always been the one to take the leap, Maria. Think of how far you've come. Don't let this chance slip away. Maria took a deep breath, grounding herself in that moment of friendship. You're right. I need to talk to him again. I can't let fear decide my future. That's the spirit. Rosa beamed, her pride warm and infectious. You'll figure it out together. And when you do, I'll be right here cheering you on. The comforting assurance made Maria's heart swell, but now she had to embody that faith. As she stepped away from Rosa, she felt the familiar pulse of determination begin to beat within her, and yet, in the back of her mind, a new thought surfaced: what if James had shared his vision with others? What if the idea of their partnership had already begun to spread, stirring conversation and curiosity in ways she wasn't ready for? She shivered at the thought, steeling herself for what lay ahead. Change was never easy, and sometimes, the most powerful transformations came drenched in vulnerability. With resolve, she made her way toward the exit again, her heart a compass leading her onward. The night air greeted her like an old friend, ready to listen. Was she ready to seize this moment? To craft a new story not just for herself, but for all those who'd been unheard for far too long? Her fingers brushed against her phone, and as she stared at the screen, thoughts racing, she whispered to herself, what's stopping me? The answer might just decide the course of her life. The chilly night air filled her lungs, sharp and invigorating. Maria glanced at the phone again. The screen was dim but full of potential, the future she was starting to envision, one filled with collaboration and hope. She scrolled through her contacts, pausing at James's name, a sudden sense of urgency prickling at her skin. Before she could think too much, her thumb hovered over the call button. Did she dare? Her heart raced. She remembered Rosa's encouragement. Maria needed to strike while the iron was hot. What if someone else grabbed the opportunity she was hesitating to take? She couldn't let that happen. With a deep breath, she pressed the button and waited. The ringing felt like an eternity, stretching out her tensions. But then, on the third ring, James's deep voice broke through the static, warm and inviting. Maria? Is everything okay? Hi, James. Yes, everything is fine. I wanted to talk again. About what we discussed earlier. Of course. I'm glad you called. I've been thinking about our conversation. His enthusiasm dripped through as her heart steadied, feeling a bit lighter. Right, me too. I guess I'm trying to understand what this could mean. Working together. Leading change, it feels like so much. Change is always daunting, he admitted. But think about the lives we can touch. The community that can thrive. You have so much potential, Maria. It's all about the right partnership and having faith in each other. There was a stillness in her chest. Maria let his words settle. It's not just about me, though. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm abandoning my roots. They've always supported me. I can't betray that. Being supported is one thing, but using that support to forge ahead is something else entirely. You're not betraying anyone, Maria. You're giving them a leader, a voice that they can rally behind. He sounded so sure, a steadfast anchor in her swirling doubts. Was this how it felt to stand on the precipice of something extraordinary? The image began to take shape more clearly in her mind now, the community rising alongside her, together. But still, the fear lingered. What if this goes wrong? What if I'm not cut out for this? Every leader has doubts. You have to remember, it's okay to feel uncertain. It's part of the process. You have a chance to rewrite the narrative for so many people. Trust yourself. Trust myself, she echoed, tasting the phrase like a soft promise. Okay, let us meet. I want to know more about how we can make this work. Absolutely. How about tomorrow? We can brainstorm at my office. I'll share more ideas, and we can outline a plan that feels comfortable for you. Tomorrow sounds great. As she hung up, Maria felt the rush of adrenaline. Tomorrow would be their first step together. But along with excitement, apprehension pulsed within her. What if she failed? Could she really navigate the responsibilities that came with this partnership? She walked slowly, the night around her buzzing with life. The stars twinkled, distant but steadfast, like her dreams beginning to shine through the shadows of uncertainty. Her heart skipped a mix of fear and determination. Yet, lurking within the corners of her mind, questions twisted like vines. What if the community reacted negatively? What if old friends became foes? Her thoughts spiraled as she approached her front door, stopping for a moment. Can you really handle this, Maria? She whispered to herself. Under the weight of that question, she hesitated. Change could bring both light and darkness. She was about to take a leap that could either transform her world or plunge her into chaos. With one last deep breath, she opened the door, stepping into the dim light of her home, still bending under the weight of choices to come. Could she truly be the beacon she hoped to be? As she turned to the warmth inside, she felt a fleeting sense of tension in the air, a reminder that every choice had consequences. Little did she know that a surprise was waiting just around the corner, one that would change everything. Would she be prepared when it arrived? Maria awoke the next morning with a mix of excitement and anxiety swirling in her stomach. The sun peeked through her window, bathing the room in a golden hue. Today was the day she would meet James. Today was the day she would take her first real steps into the unknown. She stretched and tried to shake off the lingering doubts still clinging to her like shadows. After a quick shower and a cup of coffee that barely registered on her radar, she dressed carefully. Every piece of clothing felt like it carried a weight of its own. Her favorite blouse, a deep blue reminiscent of the ocean, felt like a comforting hug. But as she laced her shoes, her mind raced again with the potential pitfalls of what lay ahead. The drive to James's office was both a blur and a slow-motion replay. Each stoplight felt like an eternity. She rehearsed what she wanted to say in her head, but every time she formed coherent thoughts, they dissolved into fear right before reaching her lips. Her palms were sweaty on the steering wheel. What if he had changed his mind? What if he found someone else? The insecurity chewed at her resolve, but she forced herself to breathe deeply. Finally, she parked outside the building, taking a moment to collect herself and rearranging her thoughts. The glass facade of the office loomed above her like a fortress. This was where partnerships were forged, where dreams took on a life of their own. As she approached the entrance, her heart hammered. It was now or never. The receptionist greeted her with a warm smile, directing her to the conference room where James awaited. The door felt heavy as she pushed it open, and there he was, standing at a table strewn with papers and charts. His face brightened when he saw her. "Maria. You made it." Of course, she smiled weakly, though inside, she felt awash with uncertainty. James gestured for her to sit, and as he dove into the ideas he had prepared, a spark ignited within her. He spoke passionately about their vision, a community initiative centered on empowerment. "It's about providing resources and connections, making sure every voice is heard," he explained. But even as he spoke, her mind kept wandering. Could they really make an impact? What if they failed? "Maria?" His voice cut through her spiral of doubt. "I want to hear your thoughts. This is a partnership, and every part of it matters." She hesitated, looking down at the papers before her. I want to help. But I'm afraid of what may happen if it doesn't work. What if I'm not good enough?" James leaned forward, his gaze steady. "We'll learn together. Every step forward will be a step taken together. And if we stumble, we pick each other up." For the first time, something tickled at her heart. The weight of her fear began to lighten. They talked about everything: strategies, potential hurdles, and even the voices of doubt that often creep in when aiming high. With each word, Maria felt a quiet strength building inside her. Just as they were wrapping up, a sudden burst of commotion outside caught their attention. They turned to see a crowd gathering. It seemed people were whispering and pointing at something or someone. Curious, Maria stood with James, and he approached the window first. "What is going on?" she asked, her pulse quickening with curiosity. His expression shifted. I think there's someone important out there." Maria joined him at the window, and what she saw made her heart drop. A familiar face was at the center of the crowd, surrounded by reporters armed with cameras. It was Rosa, her childhood friend who had always cheered her on. But something looked off. Rosa appeared weary, holding a cardboard sign that read, "Need help." Maria's breath quickened, a sense of urgency taking over. She felt her feet move before her mind fully grasped it. Rosa needed her, here, now. "James," she turned to him, her voice steady despite the racing within. "I can't just stay here." "What do you mean?" "I need to help her," Maria replied, determination spilling from her every word. As she rushed out the door, the uncertainty that had plagued her began to melt away, replaced by a burgeoning sense of purpose. But even as she raced towards the chaos, a question lingered in her mind: was she ready to confront the very roots of her fears? And as Maria stepped into the crowd, she couldn't shake the feeling that this moment would be the defining turning point of her journey. The noise of the crowd engulfed Maria as she pushed her way through the sea of faces. Many were holding their phones, capturing the moment as if it were some kind of spectacle. Her heart pounded against her ribcage as she called out, "Rosa." The sound of her voice barely cut through the chatter. Rosa looked up, her eyes wide but dulled by exhaustion. "Maria?" she asked, as if she couldn't believe her friend was really there. When their eyes met, Maria's resolve solidified. She dashed towards her. The crowd shifted slightly, creating a path as she reached Rosa, who looked little like the vibrant girl from their childhood. Strands of hair clung to her forehead, and the sign she held seemed to represent an uphill battle. "Rosa. What are you doing here?" Maria asked, scanning the anxious faces around them. I just needed help," Rosa whispered, her voice trembling. "Things have been tough." Maria sensed the urgency. She took a deep breath, wrapping her arms around her friend as the world fell silent for a moment, the embrace creating a cocoon of safety amidst chaos. "You're not alone. I'm here for you. Always." Rosa stepped back, her face softening. "I didn't know where else to go. After my mom lost her job, it just spiraled. I thought maybe I could get some support." As Rosa spoke, Maria felt the weight of her own fears begin to lift. This moment wasn't just about her, it was about friendship, compassion, and lifting each other up through hard times. The crowd began to close in, eyes watching, phones recording, but Maria focused on Rosa and the strength of the bond they shared. "Let us find somewhere quiet to talk," Maria suggested, taking her friend's hand. They maneuvered through the throng of people, heading toward the corner of the terminal where they could speak without the pressure of prying eyes. Once seated, Rosa's voice shook as she spoke about the struggles. She talked of the searching, the failures, and the problems that had grown like weeds. Each word was heavy, but Maria felt each revelation only bolstering her own sense of purpose. If she had ever doubted their partnership, hearing Rosa's story crystallized her own resolve. "Rosa, we can work together," Maria said, her voice firm. "I've started something with James. It's about empowering people just like us. Together we can find solutions, find you help." Rosa's eyes brightened for a moment, but then the doubt crept back. "What if it doesn't work out? What if I drag you down?" Maria held her friend's gaze. "Then we'll face it together. If this is about falling, then we'll learn to rise. Don't you remember how we used to dream bigger than ourselves? We can do it again." Rosa smiled faintly, a glimmer of hope creeping back into her heart. Maria could feel the strength of their friendship blooming just like it used to. But as she looked at her friend, she knew the path ahead would not be easy. The noise from the crowd surged again, drawing their attention back. The chaos outside felt like a world apart, and yet it was a part of them even in their struggles. Just then, a reporter stepped nearer, camera in hand, focusing on the duo. "Let us go," Maria whispered, urging Rosa. "Let us get you out of the spotlight and find solutions where it matters." Together, they skedaddled, moving away from the noise and cameras. In their escape, Maria felt her own resolve firming. They could be more than just survivors of their circumstances. They could redefine their futures, but as they stepped away from the chaos, a question echoed in Maria's mind. What challenges awaited them now, and how long would it take to shift the narrative? And behind them, the faint murmurs of the crowd lingered, a reminder of the world watching and waiting for whatever came next. Maria pulled Rosa through the murmur of the crowd, the newest headline buzzing in her mind like a swarm of bees. Whatever had drawn so many people to this moment felt heavy with expectation, fingers poised to capture triumph or tragedy. She wanted to focus on Rosa, on the words they needed to share. But as they slipped into a quieter area, the overhead lights seemed harsher, brighter. "Are you okay?" Maria asked, finally allowing their momentum to slow. She could see the tremor in Rosa's hands as she fiddled with the edges of her sign. It read, "Help needed," and each letter seemed to speak volumes of despair. "I don't know. I just feel exposed," Rosa admitted, her voice small. "Like I'm in a cage out there." Maria let her hand rest on Rosa's shoulder, a simple gesture that radiated understanding. "That's why we're here. No one deserves to fight alone. Together, we can change that." Rosa's brow furrowed as a flicker of anger crossed her tired features. "But what if I can't change it? What if I'm stuck in this cage forever? Everyone feels trapped sometimes, Rosa. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try." Maria's heart raced, urging her to keep the passion flowing through her words. "We have to start somewhere. This is just the beginning." The tension in the air shifted slightly. Together, they were no longer just two friends trapped by external circumstances, they were allies looking toward a shared horizon. In that moment, the surrounding chaos faded as though someone had pushed the mute button on their lives. "So, what now?" Rosa asked, curiosity glimmering in her eyes. Maria took a deep breath, envisioning the path ahead. "We reach out. Let us send a message to the club network I'm part of. Maybe they can offer resources, people who know how to help. We'll get you back on your feet." Rosa blinked, the flicker of hope igniting once more. "You really think that could work?" "Definitely. We just have to start connecting the dots," Maria replied, a smile breaking across her face. "And hey, we can plan something together. Something to spread awareness, get people talking. Rosa was quiet for a moment, processing what Maria had laid out. You mean, like a rally? Yeah, or even a workshop. We could involve other people who feel the same way. Maria felt her excitement bubbling over, starting to drown out her own fears. Imagine the impact we could have. People need to hear these stories. You're not just a name or a face, Rosa. You have a narrative that deserves to be told. Seeing a spark of admiration in Rosa's eyes felt like victory. But as they continued to brainstorm, Maria's optimism began to weave a thread of anxiety. What if they couldn't reach people? What if the stories went unheard? Just as her thoughts began to tangle, the crowd erupted again, a roar that pulsed through the terminal like an electric charge. Curious heads turned instinctively, as a group of banners and voices caught their attention. Come on. Maria pulled Rosa with a renewed energy. Let us find out what that's about. They came upon a small group chanting slogans, their signs held high like dreams almost tangible. As the noise wrapped around them, Maria's heart swelled with emotion. This was activism. This was voices coming together for change. But amidst the fervor, a thought flickered ominously. How could they break through the noise? How could they find the right people to listen? A billionaire, perhaps, who could make a difference? As the rhythm of the rally enveloped them, another question loomed: would they have the courage to make their voices heard, and would anyone truly be willing to help? Each heartbeat echoed louder, a countdown to the moment they sought and perhaps, the moment that would change everything for both of them. The sound of chanting filled the air, a wave of energy that made Maria's heart race. She and Rosa stood at the heart of the rally, surrounded by the vibrant colors of flags and banners. Each shout resonated with fervor as the crowd demanded change. It felt electric, infectious, and Maria could sense their fears and hopes merging into a single, powerful message. Let us join them. Maria urged, and with that, she gripped Rosa's hand tightly, leading her into the sea of passionate voices. Together, they raised their own signs. Help needed. It felt like a declaration, an urgent call to anyone who might listen. As they chanted, the words wrapped around them like a protective blanket, drowning out the doubts that had threatened to pull them under just moments ago. For the first time, they were part of something larger than themselves. The crowd swayed, and it became clearer that each individual voice was crucial to the collective fight. They hear us, right? Rosa shouted over the noise, her eyes bright and wide. They will feel us. Maria replied, her voice laced with excitement. The rally wasn't just noise, it was a lifeline. But as the chants grew louder, Maria felt a flicker of fear. What if their voices were lost in the frenzy? They needed a way to amplify their struggle, a spotlight that could shine on individual stories like Rosa's. Suddenly, from the side, a figure emerged. Tall with an air of confidence, he commanded attention without saying a word. His designer outfit contrasted sharply with the rally's spirit, where scruffy t-shirts and worn jeans told a different story of struggle and resilience. Maria couldn't shake the feeling that he was out of place in this moment, yet there was something magnetic about him. Who is that? Rosa asked, her brow furrowed in confusion. I don't know, but look how everyone is turning to him, Maria replied while keeping her focus on the man. As if sensing their attention, he raised his hand. The crowd quieted, curiosity lingering in the air like a held breath. I hear your calls for change. He finally declared, his voice booming with charisma. Together, we can transform lives. The moment sparkled with promise, but Maria's heart felt heavy. Here was a billionaire, probably accustomed to political gatherings and staged applause. But who would listen to the stories of struggle they were trying to share? Rosa squeezed her hand, and Maria could see the flicker of doubt creeping back into her friend's expression. Remember what we talked about? Maria urged quietly, just above a whisper. This is it. This is our chance. We have to take it. The billionaire continued speaking, talking about funding initiatives, about making a difference in the community. His words resonated with the crowd, igniting cheers and applause. Yet, beneath the excitement, a knot tightened in Maria's stomach. Would he hear Rosa's story? Would he care? As he gestured toward the crowd, calling for stories of those needing help, Maria felt a surge of determination. "We have to make him listen," she whispered fiercely, turning to Rosa, who looked uncertain. "Let us go up there. It's time to share your voice." Panic flickered behind Rosa's eyes, but Maria refused to let it steal their moment. "We can do this together," she reassured her, leading the way toward the stage. The eyes of the crowd followed them, a mixture of surprise and curiosity swirling in the air like electricity. But as they approached the stage, Maria could feel the weight of expectation bearing down. Would they truly have the courage to share what lay heavy in their hearts? Rosa's breathing quickened as they neared the platform. Maria glanced at Rosa, a silent conversation passing between them. They'd come too far to turn back now. Just as they reached the base of the stairs, fear mingled with excitement. Then, a thought struck Maria: could this moment shatter Rosa's cage? Or would it be the start of a whole new cage? The crowd murmured, their anticipation palpable. This was their moment, but would anyone be ready to listen? The billionaire, still unaware of their approach, continued to address the crowd, the cheers enveloping him like a soft blanket. But amid all the noise, the real question remained: would they find a way to break through the barriers that had kept them silenced for so long? In that charged silence before the leap into the unknown, Maria held her breath, waiting for the world to open up or to close in. Maria stepped forward, her heart racing as if it wanted to escape her chest. She could feel the energy of the crowd, but it was a dull roar compared to the thundering message in her mind: now. This is your chance. Beside her, Rosa trembled, uncertainty casting shadows across her face, but Maria felt the rush of purpose. They'd come too far to stop now. Together, she whispered, the two words echoing their shared resolve. They climbed the steps to the stage, the world seeming to tilt with every heartbeat. In stark contrast to the polished billionaire, they felt unrefined, raw, and for once, Maria embraced it. The audience's eyes shifted, curious who were these women interrupting the carefully orchestrated event. The billionaire paused, scanning the crowd, and his eyes landed on them. A flicker of surprise crossed his features. "Who are you?" he asked, intrigued yet slightly perplexed. Maria steadied her breath, feeling Rosa's presence beside her, a warm and grounding force. "We're here to share our story," she said, her voice resolute. Rosa glanced at Maria, then faced the crowd. "I'm Rosa. I need help." The honesty of those words fell like a stone floating into the air, and Maria felt the invisible connection spark. This was their moment to humanize the struggle, to peel back the layers covering their lives. A hush fell over the audience as they leaned in, eager to hear more. "My mother lost her job," Rosa continued, the tremor gone from her voice. "We've been fighting to stay afloat, but it's hard when the world sees us as invisible." Hearing those words resonated through Maria, the vulnerability was electrifying. She stepped in, driven by the moment. This is not just Rosa's story. It's the story of so many women, people who work hard, but struggle to be seen. We want to change that. A ripple of murmurs ran through the crowd. The billionaire listened intently, a new light dawning in his eyes. Maria pressed on, a wave of energy fueling her. "We believe that if we can share our experience, we can cultivate a platform for others to voice their struggles. It's time to forge connections. Together, we can help each other rise," Rosa added, her voice stronger now, sparking courage in the crowd. The audience was spellbound, their murmurs transitioning into supportive cheers. The billionaire sensed that the tide had shifted. Their words were not just noise, they were a call to action. Inspired by the swells of emotion, he stepped closer, intrigued. "What can I do to help?" Maria felt the adrenaline surge within her, releasing confidence that blossomed across her features. We want to create a community initiative that emphasizes empowerment and support. We need resources to make this happen. We need to elevate voices like ours. The crowd erupted in applause, the energy taking on a life of its own. Maria's heart swelled with hope. We can build workshops, mentorship programs, create opportunities for everyone who feels trapped in their circumstances. The billionaire nodded, starting to grasp the impact of what they were proposing. I want in. Let us connect the community to the resources needed. I'd like to fund this initiative. We can bring change together. In that instant, the doubt that had whispered in the back of her mind fell away. It was time to stand tall, to forge a path not just for herself, but for all the stories waiting to be told. With Rosa by her side, they could make a difference. As the crowd began to chant their support, Maria turned to Rosa, and the two friends embraced. Tears flowed down their cheeks, not of sadness, but tears of relief, transformation, and empowerment. They had turned fear into strength, insecurities had been replaced with hope. Thank you for believing in us, Rosa said softly, her voice just for Maria. No, thank you for breaking your cage, Maria replied, her heart full. The rally continued around them, vibrant and alive, and in that moment, Maria knew they had taken their first steps toward change. They were ready to lift each other up. They were ready to rewrite their own narratives. As they stepped off the stage, hands intertwined, Maria felt a profound shift within her, a powerful sense of purpose that was palpable. She was ready to fight for her dreams, together with her community, ready to be the leader she always knew she could be. And in that moment, at the forefront of change, she whispered a silent promise to herself. This was just the beginning. Now, fellow viewers, this is the will to make a difference. If you felt inspired by Maria and Rosa's journey, you need to subscribe now to keep up with their story. Leave a like to fuel our fire and support those fighting for their dreams. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings, we want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Make your support count. Let us build this community together.